Our administration has invested, and this has been a total game changer. In the time we have been in office, we are now on track to invest $1 trillion in addressing the climate crisis around adaptation and resilience and investing in a clean energy economy.
Wow. Wow.
And I will tell you, we are making a particular effort to also acknowledge that while the climate crisis impacts everyone, it does not do so equally. Because when you look at how the effect...
Some say that if the White House and Congress do not cut inflation causing government spending, the results could be catastrophic. And in 2020, during the height of the crisis, the former president and a Democratic-led Congress spent vast amounts of money to keep the economy afloat. But can this happen again? And will Joe Biden send out the fourth stimulus check right now? Because people are waiting for it and people need the stimulus. Important news, inflation is beginning to increase nationwide. Experts say this will affect the monthly benefit boost that is coming to you guys next month. In fact, the Energy Department has also issued its final efficiency rules for residential furnaces, which in projects will actually save Americans $1 billion in heating expenses over the year. And the rule marks the first update to furnace efficiency standards since 2007. Under the update rule, residential gas-powered furnaces, the source of about 20% of annual home energy, will provide at least 95% fuel efficiency, converting almost all the gas they consume into heat. The Department actually projected the updated rule will result in 22 million fewer metric tons of carbon emissions and 4 million tons of methane emissions. The Secretary of Energy even said that the Energy Department is continuing to review and finalize energy standards for household appliances like residential furnaces to lower costs for working families by reducing energy use and slashing harmful pollutants in homes across the nation. Heating compromises most U.S. households' largest single utility, costing an average of just $700 every single month. And according to Huffington Post, Joe Biden's landmark Inflation Reduction Act is packed with billions of dollars worth of credits and rebates for purchasing electric vehicles and making home improvements to save energy. According to lawmakers, if you're a low and middle income homeowner looking for a fuel covering costs, then you'll have to wait until next year for a rebate. Democratic representatives and at least 65 other Democrats sent a letter demanding that her agency, the Energy Secretary's agency that is, revise the rulebook to allow states to make rebates retroactively available to everybody. The issue centers on a nearly $9 billion pot in funding in the IRA meant to help homeowners buy electric appliances and upgrade homes to cut back on energy usage. The federal government is also set to give the home money to states and distribute them directly. Despite months of back and forth with the Energy Department, Huffman said the agency has so far refused to change the rulebook, with fuel prices steadily coming again nationwide. Southern Californians are experiencing some of the worst pain at the pump, thanks to a string of issues at local refineries. A move by California Gavin Newsom actually made a switch to winter blend fuel earlier than usual, but it could bring relief within weeks. According to AAA, from Wednesday and Thursday, the average price of a gallon of gas in California surged by nearly 14 cents. By Friday, the average was actually $6. Now, first of all, getting refinery back to producing gas takes time, even if there are problems fixed. As a result, the gas supply in California has been hit hard, and experts estimate that the missing fuel volume could be in the millions of gas. This could actually cause some problems for people who are trying to receive stimulus.
Long time sometimes. And when it's born out of something that has been anything from a mistake to a vicious intent, you know, it varies in degrees. I'm not saying I know the same. But I just, look, I mean.
The program sets restrictions on both net and gross monthly income broken down to household size. But the barrier to acquiring food aid in Michigan has been lowered. It is Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed a bipartisan bill removing the asset test as a requirement to receive SNAP benefits. And according to the Michigan Executive Office of the Governor, the move will offer greater financial security to those who need it the most and ease the burden of receiving aid. Michigan is now one of the 37 states with similar laws, and the governor says people who had more than $15,000 worth of assets, including vehicles and savings, were disqualified for food. Officials say that 500,000 children in Michigan will benefit from the eliminated asset. And now in Maine, all recipients of the SNAP program will have their monthly benefits delivered to them by today. SNAP benefits are distributed to eligible residents from the 10th to the 14th of every month, with all beneficiaries scheduled to have their benefits by the month of July by Friday. Now, the next round of SNAP payments will also begin on August 10th. The state of Texas will complete issuing SNAP benefits worth up to $1,700 for a month of July this week. Texas has a long window for issuing payments, lasting through the first 10 days in a month. Even the amount received depends on one family size. A single household will receive $281, and an 8-member household will receive $1,700. But on a federal level, some House representatives want to expand the number of food stamp recipients subject to work requirements and time-limited food benefits by raising the age of people covered by the rules to 65. Members are writing the bill against the backdrop of extraordinary uncertainty in the economy and inflation, including the cost of food is so high that the Federal Reserve is willing to risk a recession to slow the prices down. Economic disruptions are caused by the crisis in the robust labor market is expected to weaken in the months ahead. The past week, Democrats of the Department of Education announced that it will begin discharging student loan debts for borrowers who've been in repayment for 20 to 25 years under a one-time payment. Around 800,000 borrowers will benefit from this, and there will be $39 billion dropped. Joe Biden said the previous announcement is a one-time adjustment and will become an even more important lifeline for struggling borrowers than repayments start in September. The one-time payment adjustment the Education Department had counts certain months that were previously ineligible towards student loan forgiveness. But now, everybody, the Education Department announced a one-time payment adjustment for all direct loans and federally owned family education loans. Now, the adjustment to student loan accounts will go toward helping borrowers get closer to forgiveness under the income-driven plans. And after this adjustment, people should be getting stimulus payments because the one-time payment adjustment helps to reverse some of the damage caused by loan services that did not properly track deferments or steer borrowers to forbearance, instead of income-driven toward repayment payments, which would have continued toward years of payments. Some borrowers in the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program have already seen the payment adjustments in their accounts, so we know that's a good thing.
Pace below that seen earlier in the year, but still a strong pace. The unemployment rate remains low at 3.6%. There are some continuing signs that supply and demand in the labor market are coming into better balance. The labor force participation rate has moved up since last year, particularly for individuals aged 25 to 54 years. Nominal wage growth has shown some signs of easing, and job vacancies have declined so far this year. While the jobs to workers gap has narrowed, labor demand still substantially exceeds the supply of available workers. Inflation remains well above our longer run goal of 2%. Over the 12 months ending in May, total PCE prices rose 3.8%. Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 4.6%. In June, the 12-month change in the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, came in at 3.0%, and the change in the core CPI was 4.8%. Inflation has moderated somewhat since the middle of last year. Nonetheless, the process of getting inflation back down to 2% has a long way to go. Despite elevated inflation, longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from
300,000 child